All right, we'll call the meeting to order. And first, we will have a roll call. Chanel.
Well, Jennings. Stay here.
Here.
Lamb.
Present.
Lawson.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Here.
Hand.
Here.
Knight. Priest.
Here.
Prophet.
Yes.
Jennings. I'm sorry, Jennings. I said JL. My apologies. That's all right. I got it.
All right. So everybody's here. We'll start out by introducing J.L. Jennings, our newest PRAB board member.
Hello.
Give a chance to introduce everybody. You can introduce yourself. Or
I'm just J.L. Jennings. I currently work at the University of Arkansas. I'm just excited to serve the community and excited to be a part of the board.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome.
all right, and then we also have the December 7th meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review those? Everybody that was present?
Did.
Any questions, comments, further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. And we've got beginning of the year business for 2016, election of officers, chairman position, also vice chairman position. Are there any nominations?
I nominate you for the chair yet again.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And David's vice chairman now. Does anybody want to renominate him, or?
I will renominate David Priest.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Chairman.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, can we vote on these together?
Yeah, whatever you want.
You're unopposed. We all approve.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have committee appointments, active transportation, and also botanical garden. I'm on the botanical garden. Wade is our active transportation. Wade, you want to stay on that?
I'd like to,
Okay.
unless somebody else is just chomping at the bit to do it.
Okay.
I would love to, but they don't have near the ability to participate in it.
Okay.
My time is tapped.
Understand.
And I'm willing and able to stay on the botanical garden.
So do we have to officially nominate you, or is that?
Yes, it would be nice.
It's an annual thing every year. And I will say the Botanical Gardens Board has requested that Richie Land stay on the board if possible.
Wow.
And I'm sure the active transportation would say the same.
No, I
Certainly.
don't think. I'd hear that.
All right, do we have any other nominations for those positions? All right, if not, we'll vote on those. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
We just voted for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, I voted for you and you voted for me.
Okay. That works.
Okay, and then following that, we have a presentation on Appleseeds Inc. Mary Thompson is here. She is the executive director. And Mary, I'm going to let you start with your presentation. Introduce yourself, and you have we've got a slideshow too. All right.
PowerPoint. Okay, I'm not a PC person here. Did I click on the?
Yeah, let me do this.
Thank you, Allison.
And then you can just use the down arrow.
Awesome. So my name is Mary Thompson, and I am one of the co-directors of Appleseeds. And Connie and Allison asked me to come tell you all just a little bit about what we do with the recent lease for Gully Park that we've been in the works of doing over the past few months. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about Appleseeds and the work that we do and the students that we reach and our goals and mission and what we plan to do with the 2 acres in Gully Park. So our mission is to inspire healthy living through garden-based education. So we are a resource for the schools primarily. We work with the schools to establish school gardens, for field trips for the kids to come out to our current teaching farm, for hands-on, interactive school curriculum education. But at the same time, they're connecting back to the food that we grow and that they eat. So our main goal is to get kids excited about the fruits and vegetables and reconnect them back to where their food comes from. And we primarily work with elementary and middle schools. So we've worked with all of the schools in Fayeteville of elementary and middle school, and that's our primary focus. And the reason we're doing this, some of you probably have heard the recent hype about Arkansas and our ranking. We're #1 in the country for obesity. And in Arkansas, 49% of our youth consume less than 1 serving of fruits and vegetables a day. So our kids are eating less than an apple a day, and that affects their health, their cognitive abilities, their success, the vitality of our region of Arkansas. And so we feel like it's really important to reconnect them and get them excited about gardens and food and, make a difference starting with our youth. So studies have shown that garden education increases the consumption of vegetables. So these kids are out there measuring with rulers, they're planting seeds, they're watching things grow, they're harvesting it, and then they're learning how to cook their food. So all of the national research studies are saying this is really working, it's making a difference, and we're following those standards that are being set by the larger research institutions. Our main thing is for the kids to be engaged with their hands. So they've got their hands in the dirt, they're actively doing things, they're connecting with all of their senses and developing this connection to food. And by the end of it, they are so excited to eat eggplant that they're fighting over it. So it's been really fun to see these kids grow through the program. So like I was saying earlier, we work in the schools and we also work from our teaching farm, which is right now next door to Ozark Natural Foods. We have about 5,000 square feet of gardens, and it's given us a great start and a foundation for building our field trips. So kids can come out and actually experience what we've been able to cultivate on a larger scale than what they can do in their own schools, and go through our programs exactly as we've designed them with our guidance and our team. So it's been really exciting to see everything unfold on this new piece of property. Well, in 2014 we started this farm, but it's on borrowed land, so we needed to look for a place to expand so that we could reach all of the students in Fayetteville. And that's when we came to Parks and Rec and started talking about how we could reach more students in the area and coincide with the Be Active initiative, and have a whole 2 acres to expand the gardens and reach a larger number of kids. So in the schools, we've got school gardens. We have programs for the gardens. We offer resources to teachers so that they can come to us with questions to get help, to get consultations in their schools and their gardens. We offer workshops, which we'll be having one in February. Primarily in the past, it's been for teachers and garden leaders, and this year it will be open to all of the residents of Fayetteville. So gardening topics will be addressed for home gardens, any type of gardening, basic gardening skills. But this has been a really instrumental part in our being able to be a resource for many schools and answer the questions that they have about school gardens and gardening. We help coordinate volunteer groups. We have a tool lending program. We do on-site consultations. We share lessons, give them the curriculum that they need. And then our farm lab is the field trip where the kids come out. They have math, literacy, science in the garden. And all of the kids harvest something, they prepare a snack and walk away with the skills and the recipe to repeat that recipe at home. And the exciting thing is that we're finding that 30% of those kids are replicating the snack at home. And these are kids that had never had a radish when they came out before, never had a pepper before. And to see that impact has been really amazing. One other program we have is that we help schools, the students can set up their own mini farmers market stands. So we provide the produce for the kids to run their own business. So they develop their business plan, they market it, and then they give samples of recipes, and they get other kids really excited about fresh fruits and vegetables right there on their own school grounds. Just a few of the kids that have been doing it. These are some of our numbers from last year. It's actually from 2014. We're getting our numbers together for 2015. But in 2014, we reached 10,000 students. We distributed 15,000 pounds of produce. And some of the results from our programs, we're seeing 80% of Farm Lab students had an increased attitude about fruits and vegetables after attending a 2-hour program with us. And this was for Farm Lab, 22% of students replicated the snack at home. That was old. I was just saying 30% was this new year date, but data. But anyhow, that's the basics of what we do. I'd love to answer any questions if anyone has any questions or would like to know anything more.
Do you anticipate parking the school buses?
Currently the parking for Gully Park on Old Wire has the diameters needed for a bus to load and unload. So
I think
we'll walk to the park.
what we're probably going to run into in very short order is that there'll be a push to have that paved, would be my guess. We ran into this with the Botanical Garden and then spent $350,000, I believe, paving that parking lot.
They're gonna use the existing
The existing
parking lot off the Gold Wire.
Is that big enough to get a school bus in?
Yes, yes. We
Okay.
Check that, so,
That was my concern, one of the
Yeah.
concerns I had.
Oh, you're talking about the grass part?
the grass part.
Well, that was what I was thinking, yeah.
We're not gonna utilize overflow.
So what's your water source going to be for Gully Park? Is it city water?
It's city water. We purchased the property adjacent to it, so we'll be piping through our property.
Okay.
What you might look into is drilling a well. There's a hand-dug well right on the park where what's the gully's old well. And understand it's only about, even in the drier parts of the summer, I've been told that it's 10 feet down there's water. And
Really?
it had never run dry. What you might look at doing is drilling a well. That way you have something that's not chlorinated too.
That's a great idea.
Apparently there's a pretty good water source near that area.
Where is that? Is that where the
We
red
can show
brick?
you. We
It's
can show
just
you
east of the parking lot, the paved parking lot.
Where the old house was, kind
Oh.
of between the house and the old barn.
What about the fence? Because I know you've got to have you now have a 9-foot tall fence to keep the deer out.
Right. We're going to be looking into fence options. I know that was a concern that some of you had here. Do you have suggestions on what you all would?
No, I know that people aren't too happy about a fence like that, and that's the concern.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, the other thing I can think of is electric fence. I don't know.
With
I understand the
kids.
Game and Fish says you've got to have a 8-foot high fence. I think the comment was they never had a deer jump over an 8-foot high fence, so that's why that fence that you have now is built at 9 feet.
You know, have you all seen Walker Park Community Garden fence?
Mm-mm.
Go by and look at that. I think it looks really nice. It's I don't know what, it has the
Like cattle
paddles.
wire
And it has wooden posts. Go by and look at that. It's really nice looking.
Do you know how tall it is, Byron?
It's 8 feet.
It's 8 foot?
Yeah, it looks nice. Same fences at Ronderson's Community Garden. It's cedar post, cattle panel. It looks rustic and it blends in. It's not like a chain link fence or anything.
But it hadn't had any deer in there.
Programming, is it seasonal or year-round?
Right now it's seasonal, spring and fall semesters,
Okay.
but we intend to get a high tunnel and a greenhouse, and then we can have year-round programming.
What is done with the produce that's grown? Is that given
Most of
back?
it goes to the markets where the kids run their own markets. We also sell some to Fayeteville Public Schools, and so it goes back to the cafeterias. Right now we only have 5,000 square feet, so that's about all of it. The kids that eat it on site, but we also plan to expand the farm to table program, so kids will be out there harvesting, cooking a full meal, sitting down, doing a whole spread. So that and increased field trips will be a large part of where the produce is going.
Is there any plan to do a summer educational program?
Yes, we're actually talking with Parks and Rec right now about a summer camp this summer, and then we want to build off of that and open up more camps for other places too.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have any plans there have been 3 or 4 trees that have already been removed. One was the walnut tree. I think the other one may have been a pecan tree. Do you have I don't think there's many trees left on the 2-acre piece now. Do you have, what are the thoughts on that?
There's 2 beautiful pecan trees right now that we're being very careful not to disturb the roots or anything of those trees. There were 2 walnut trees that were dying where the shed was built between the 2 previously. Those 2 were removed by Parks and Rec. Noticed that a few weeks ago.
They had walnuts on them this year.
They were in pretty bad shape. We took that down as part of the cleanup of the sheds and the fence.
We don't intend to take down any trees, us.
No, we've had, I mean, those trees were 30 or 40 years old that were cut down, and I know how much time it takes for those hardwood trees to grow, and how much effort the city puts in growing trees too, and that was rather frustrating to see that happen.
I'm certain we had our arborists to look at it, our urban foresters, and determined probably they were unsafe, we hate to take them down too. And
No,
we'll let them
they're
stay
gone
up
now,
until
so it
they're,
doesn't matter.
until they're unsafe. Last thing we want is a large wind to come along and to hit our patron with it, so.
All right. Y'all have any immediate development plans out there other than the fence, maybe?
The fence is the first thing, so we're working with Allison as this master plan is developed for the park so that we can coincide with what's happening there. And we'll build the fence after you guys have developed your master plan and we've developed a master plan for what would happen inside the fence and hope that it all works together nicely.
So will we see all that before the
We'll have a round of public meetings for the Gully Park Master Plan.
It'd be nice to include this board since it was not included in any of these talks that have been going on for all the way back into September.
Yeah,
And that's, the city council voted on this and with no input from this board whatsoever. And there was a lot of money raised to help acquire that other 10 acres, and now 20% that's going to be used for something that a lot of those donors weren't aware of. I like the concept of what you're doing, but I mean, you have an existing site that's landowner put in $250,000. Are you going to still use that too?
He's been developing that for his own personal interest. It was not for us. We have 5,000 square feet. We do hope to maintain that in the contract that we have with him is for 5,000 square feet. We plan to be there for the whole 5 years that we signed that contract. He has lots of really great ideas, and he's been really excited to be part of it. And we've been able to help him realize some of his goals as well. We don't intend at all to leave him hanging, but he's got some ideas of his own as well.
I know he's made a lot of a wonderful contribution for you all to use that.
He has. He's been amazing. We're really
I'd like to
appreciative.
think that you could continue to use that and utilize that for some time.
We plan to. It's only a 5-year agreement that he was offering to give that to us. And so we want to make sure we're there those whole 5 years and then see how he feels about extending that at that point.
All right. Well, Mary, thank you for preparing this and for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to visiting with you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have a parkland dedication proposal for homes at Willow Bend.
All right, so we have a single-family development that's being proposed just east of Walker Park, this red area here. Homes at Willow Bend, you guys might have heard about it. This project's been in the works for some time. It's in the southeast park quadrant, and they're proposing 78 single-family homes. Community by Design is the engineer on this project, and there are representatives here if you guys have specific questions for them about the development. But with this 78 single-family proposal, they are requesting to pay money in lieu for the fees. Staff is also recommending money in lieu. Obviously, Walker Park is adjacent to it. Basically, the trail system connects into it, and we feel like the existing parks in this area will serve the needs of the residents here. And this is the general layout. It looks like, is that a green space right in the middle of this here?
It is.
Okay. So they are providing some private green space for their residents as well.
Allison, what's the acreage?
Just approximately 10 acres.
10 acres, and you said 78 properties.
Single family.
I'm assuming we don't need another, staff is not recommending we need another 1.79 acres
I know, I
to
couldn't quite figure it out either.
Walker.
We are not.
We got plenty of space over there.
I feel like the facilities there will serve these residents, and they'll be well connected through sidewalks.
So, yeah, how do we have trail access? I missed.
The trail doesn't connect,
But the red is.
but the street network and the sidewalks will. So you can see the trail here,
Okay.
and then it comes off to the east, but it'll be connected via the road network and sidewalks.
Thank you. What's the most likely destination for the money in lieu if that's how it's voted? What would that most likely go to in that quadrant?
We haven't looked at that yet, and we're open for discussion on that, so.
Were you in the park?
It's not, yeah.
Is it not in
Not
that
in
quadrant?
Quadrant, no.
No, it isn't, that's right. South. Allison, is this raw land, or is there something there currently?
It's mostly undeveloped. Brian, you might want to, if you want to talk about the project, you're welcome to come up here. There's a lot of existing canopy on it.
I'd be happy to talk.
I thought you might.
Thanks, everybody. I'm Brian Teague with Community by Design. We've been working on Willow Bend project for quite some time now, for five or 6 years, I think. Have Michael Ward and John Anderson. They're with the development group back there, and then also the Partners for Better Housing. They're the nonprofit owner, and Keaton Smith, he's the back there. He's the president of the Partners for Better Housing. So we'd be happy to answer any questions, but like Allison said, I think it's 9 acres, I think, and 75, 76 single-family homes. That's kind of programmed to be a mixture of both affordable and market-rate homes. There is about an acre, I think, of green space incorporated into the site plan, but it's also programmed with stormwater features and tree preservation. So I think that's why I guess we didn't propose to dedicate that land as parkland, but be happy to answer any questions just in general.
Type of construction, are these going to be more of that modern look that's around that South Fayeteville, 6th Street, 15th Street design? What type of pattern are you going for?
Right, we've been kind of developing the architectural pattern around the old Ozark vernacular architecture that you see throughout Northwest Arkansas. So front porches, real simple construction that hopefully get it more traditional look. And to answer your question earlier, it's there's nothing on the property right now. It's just completely undeveloped property that's nearly landlocked, so not many people know that it's back there. I don't think.
How wooded is the property?
It's about 90% of the property is covered in tree canopy.
And so is this in the tree canopy overlay?
It'll have to meet tree preservation requirements. It's not in the hilltop.
It's not in the hilltop.
Which roads will provide main access to this?
Washington.
Washington Common?
Yeah, it's about 2 blocks south of Jefferson Elementary, the Jefferson Elementary property, or the old Jefferson Elementary property. That's where our access will be. There will also be a secondary access that utilizes the old 11th Street right-of-way. Part of 11th Street's built, but I think when you go further east across Washington, that section's not built. But currently, we're proposing to build that section of street.
So primary access to Park would be go west on to hit Washington, and then just use the sidewalk system to get, I guess it's 2 blocks.
Right.
2 blocks further to the west and hit Walker.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty close to Walker. I think it's actually 600 feet,
Yeah.
those 2 blocks.
I motion that we accept money in lieu of.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That's our only parkland dedication to folks, right?
It is.
All right. So next, we're going to have the regional park update.
Sure. If you guys are wondering if the park is still there, it is.
Yeah, with the rain.
We got over 10 inches of rain out there over the Christmas holiday, but everything held in place. The contractors had just sodded the western slope, that 2-to-1 slope, and they worked Christmas Eve and Christmas Day to get that down before the rain so that we would have even better erosion control out there. So it all stayed with the exception of maybe 10 rolls out of about 300, so we felt pretty good about that. So anyway, last week spent drying out, and hopefully this week they'll get back out there. They're doing some block work on the concession buildings. They'll start forming up and pouring internal sidewalks. Most of the external sidewalks around Regional Park Drive are already built. Stormwater boxes are in. So they're making pretty good progress out there. Once it dries up, if anybody wants to go back out and take a look, I'd be happy to go out there.
The grass is great.
Temporary seed is up on the soccer fields, on 4 of them.
All right.
Is the name actually Regional Park Drive?
That's a good question. Can't, that's what we're calling it, so we have to call it something.
They can't keep Judge Cummings.
Well, we may, I think it's Judge Cummings up to the roundabout, actually.
We're waiting for that donut.
Yeah, sounds like naming rights to me.
If not, the city can still take the reins of naming it, even if there's no donors that come forth.
Or is that a county?
It's a city.
A city, okay. Yeah, okay, it's just passed.
Are we still on schedule for soccer for fall?
Yes,
How many fields for this fall?
6.
Alan, are we going to have any youth or rec league soccer out there this fall?
That's the plan, yes, have full programming. out
What
there.
ages?
Entire.
So we're moving everything.
We'll keep Walker.
We'll
so
keep Walker.
U15 and U18 will remain at Walker.
Okay, and then everything else that's at the other
We've
field.
seen so much growth
Lewis, thank
at
you.
Lewis that even though we're gaining a little bit of space and lights, it's still going to be, we'll still have a full slate going on just from first touch to U12.
Okay.
And then baseball start out there in the spring. We have 4 fields.
It will start.
2017.
Okay.
2017,
Yeah.
And then keep going.
Okay,
Yes.
I was like,
What? All right.
That's pretty quick.
So you said they're going to start pouring sidewalks. Is all that at grade right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure is, yeah. Mass grading is about 95% complete. We're waiting on the northern 2 soccer fields to complete those for the landfill project to be completed because they're using a road that goes right through the middle of those right now. So those will be a little bit later this spring.
Okay.
maybe the first meeting in March or April,
Yeah.
we'll take a tour.
Okay.
Y'all are ready?
All right. And then where are we at on the meeting schedule for the, is it the master trail plan?
For Kessler?
Yeah.
We took public comments up through December 31st, so we'll make sure that our consultant has all those and compiles them, makes any final tweaks to the master plan. We'll get that back out. To
There's
the
one more.
stakeholders.
Oh, there's going to be another stakeholder meeting?
Well, I think we'll probably put it out through the base camp, the
Okay.
stakeholders, unless there are major changes, but we didn't really hear anything at the last public meeting that felt like there were going to be major changes from what was presented, so depending on what other comment that we got in via email or those comment sheets, they'll just make the final.
How much comments have we had?
I would have to get with Ken. He's been receiving those, and he's out right now. But we have received several. I don't know that we've been flooded with them, but we have received several through the online submittals. So once that's compiled, Woody's been doing some ground truthing for some of the trails that have been proposed, just to make sure that they're still making sense on the ground, in addition to just on paper. And then hopefully we'll be bringing it to Parks Board for approval as another public input too in February, hopefully. So,
February or maybe, or March if it.
or March,
It has to.
yeah. If there's a lot of change and comment, it could be March, but we're hoping to get it sooner than later.
Is it worth keeping the comment period open currently? Is it,
Well, we have to put it off at some point, or else we'll never be able to finalize the plan. So we feel like we've had it open for quite some time, and we've had the word out there. So we feel like people, have had an opportunity to do that. And then Parks Board obviously will be another public input. So if people don't feel like they've had their opportunity, they can always show up here.
Don't say that. We'll have to go to the big room.
We might need it, yeah.
Okay.
I expected. just
Do we have any,
whenever we put that on.
I can't think of anything. Do we have any water features added in the future, as in, I know pools are very expensive, or like a splash pad? Do we have some of that in the plans for this? 'Cause I know that came up before, and
Who was it?
For Kessler
John Paul.
Regional Park.
Who was it?
anything,
John Paul.
anything.
John
I like
Paul's.
to have the last four.
Now,
But-
the John Paul Regional
Splash pad.
Splash Pad.
Yeah.
FYI, this,
John.
this is the year that we'll be doing our 5-year capital improvement plan. So you all can be thinking about inserting that if that's one of your wishes. Be thinking of those things.
Well, we're bumping another 20 grand a month right now, so that's,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
The coffer
that
should be
Walker.
quite full.
Well, the splash pad is on there for 2016.
It is.
In what location?
I think it'd be great at Gully Park where the old ponds
We
are.
had one at Gully and
I
Walker.
think it's at Gully
Yeah.
for 2016. isn't
They
it?
got those
Or was it at
It was
Walker?
2017.
ponds used to be.
I have to look at
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll be redoing the
Oh,
old
the
ones.
I mean, it's coming up
Yeah.
quick.
nasty old pond.
Yeah, that filled
There's
in.
going to be a splash
Budgeting
pad
field.
We'll be
somewhere.
looking
well,
at our
it's
capital plans
gradually
in
over
March,
the years.
March, April with you all.
Once drops
So,
on there.
probably April.
Okay.
So on the Mount Kessler plan, so the having a hard surface trail at the top has been completely taken off.
It is not off there currently.
Wow.
It's still in the plan, but nobody, I think all the stakeholders, all the public input is all said, no.
So the paved trail is currently shown as part of the Fayeteville Active Transportation Plan.
Okay.
So we kind of have two plans going on at once, with revisions, or with the master plan for Kessler, that has been talked about a lot. So for that to come off of the active transportation plan, that'll have to go to council. So that's something that's being discussed as part of this Kessler master plan.
Okay, thank you.
That needs to be discussed at active transportation at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We meet Wednesday.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments about Kessler Mountain?
I got one more question about the regional park. Connie, I think we need to bring up some discussions with the baseball group about what age groups that we would be talking about using the facility at the regional park as opposed to Walker Park. And part of that discussion needs to be, right now, currently, we have 5-year-old through 12-year-old all at Walker Park And by only building 4 fields instead of 8 fields at the regional park, we're going to create what we said we didn't want to do, and that is split up families between age groups of baseball. Because right now you have all the kids at one place. If we start moving age groups to the new park, that's going to create an issue with a 5-year-old at Walker Park and the parents trying to get older kids at the regional park, or however that might work. So I think we need to begin some discussions with the baseball group as to how all that's going to work.
Right. And we'll discuss that. The board will have to help us determine how that will happen. Because, I mean, we've got 4 new fields, we've got to play on them. We hopefully will have 4 new fields coming later, so we'll have the total 8. You know, and maybe just hopefully donations will come in.
Is that the only way that we could get to the 4 additional fields faster is by donations?
Yes.
There's no way of reallocation of money in that quad or anything like that? I'm just throwing that out there.
We've used all the money that we have right now.
Everything we had available in that
Quadrant.
wasn't already,
Earmarked?
earmarked for something has gone into the current phase.
We need a good $1 million more to build the next.
Yeah, plus, because parking
Plus,
has to go with
and
that, and the road
parking, and the road. and
What other financing options would we have? Is there any way that we could take something to city council? Because the impact, not only, so Terry has a good point, that we're going to split families up, and that's not good for the residents, but then again, if you've got 8 fields, you're going to be able to sell more programs into Fayetteville, and the impact of the HMR is going to be there. So, I mean, it's twofold of why we'd want it to go faster than not. So is there,
Exactly.
what would our financing options be, or how would we go about going to the city to say it's this is a good investment because the ROI is going to be there?
As low as interest rates are, we should be issuing bonds for that.
What's that?
As low as interest rates are right now, that we should be issuing bonds.
You think that the hurdle rate on the ROI should be relatively low for the city, given the HMR?
And
Because I think that's the angle to look at it, Terry.
That could be part of the CIP, our capital improvement plan. If that's you all's recommendation, that could go to our city council for consideration.
So that's something that we would want to add an agenda item and discuss, or how do we go about the procedure of doing that?
I think, first of all, we need to get our costs together a little bit more.
We can get that.
Yeah, we can get that for you and have that discussion. I don't have the CIP budget yet from our budget team with the city. So once they give us the CIP, they tell us each year how much money that we have to spend.
Yeah. But we are adding 4 fields.
Yes.
I mean,
We
we're
have
not
4
taking
today.
4 away from somewhere else.
No.
I mean, there's
Well-
no fields disappearing anywhere.
Yeah, there will be some at Walker Park.
There will be a
And there will
couple.
be some discussion on that as to the timing of
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And which ones, that's yet to be determined.
Okay.
It needs to be probably determined this year. That's going to be
The removal of some baseball fields in order to establish more soccer fields, or what would be the?
No, just we can't maintain 16 fields, that's for certain. And we don't have the number of children right now to have that. And that's one reason why we're removing it from Walker, is because of the condition of the fields and, how they're located. But there's some good fields there that needs to be kept in.
So is our soccer grown enough in order to facilitate?
We will have no more.
The
Soccer
process.
has grown. We will not have any soccer at Lewis.
Right, but we only have 2 soccer fields at Walker. If we take ball fields away, are we gonna change them over to soccer fields? Or we can convert them to soccer?
I don't think there's a need for that. We're gaining, with the addition of
With
lights at
lights.
regional, we're gonna gain so much more field space. At regional, we won't need the additional space at Walker. If anything, we'll be able to possibly shift some from Walker to regional, so we would potentially need less at Walker.
This has been a discussion that we've had with baseball for quite some time. We haven't had it in a while, but, once we get these new fields, we won't have all the old fields. We won't keep them. So,
And I think that can be worked out. That's not something that they're going to be too terribly concerned about, because you do have some fields that were sort of wedged into areas where that they really shouldn't have been. And so you can take some of those fields out without a whole lot of pain. The ones around the concession stand, you're going to want to keep, but there's other ones that they're not going to need anymore. So that'll work out. I think our biggest concern, though, is for them to try and run two separate locations, and then the pain that's going to cause the parents of trying to bring kids here and here, which is just the opposite of what we tried to do with the regional park. Was we wanted a park where that baseball, soccer, trails, all those kind of things, we could come in one place. And until we get those additional 4 fields at the regional park, it's going to be a logistical problem.
Yeah.
It is, and
The parents that have those 2 kids, they're going to be the ones probably driving.
Right.
That's scheduling with the coaches and programmers, they'll have to speak up and
Well,
probably.
the marketability of one 8-field complex versus 2 4s, you're going to get more tournaments booked, which equals more HMR for us. So, again, that's the same rationale for doing that.
Yeah.
Even if you're netting out the same number of fields.
Should we look at doing, how about the idea of doing a feasibility study, just find out if as we add these new fields, what that would do to our HMR, and then that would maybe then justify a bond issue, because, the way it is right now, and I know things are good right now as far as our growth and our numbers, because we're picking up another, $250,000 or so a year, but as low as interest rates are, you start looking, that could go a long way to pay that increase. Of course, we're banking on that increase, but then if you have the new fields and then you pick up the HMR, that way and I don't know what a feasibility study like that would cost, if you all talked about that, if that's something we need to talk to other people about, but.
I'm not sure feasibility study on like that would cost anything, but I think that's a great idea.
Well, it's got to, if you're going to get good numbers, somebody's going to be, because that just seems, it takes advantage of low interest rates at the same time, it takes advantage of the growth that we're having in our area that's occurring, plus the need, and we have all those 3 things. I don't know if that's something we should look at a separate group of people like a separate committee to pursue that, or work with the finance director and get their thoughts. We've got, the city has some cushion too that's unbudgeted, that helps, because you're taking a risk when you do something like this, but I see it as a very well calculated risk. But the other thing too, we've got ongoing competition from, Farmington, or who else is building a pretty sizable baseball facility?
Springdale is right now.
So, all the other communities are jumping in the pot too to make that happen as quick as they can, but that's something that, since we've got the space now, which was so hard to get, and now it's more a matter of, it's easy to develop that quickly with the additional, if we can get the additional money, the bond issue would be a quick way to do that.
That also may drive some development in that area too once we get soccer, once we get baseball there,
Yeah.
then everybody's going to look for a place to eat and a place to stay. So
Yeah.
there's some potential for growth in that area of town where there hasn't been before.
Or even more hotel sites that are close to that spot, I don't.
Specifically HMR growth.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wade, that was a great point. So how do we move forward, Connie? Then do we have a committee? Do we form some sort of subcommittee to do this?
We can form a subcommittee if you'd like, to look into a feasibility study. Yeah. Do that.
And then that committee would make a recommendation to city council
Or to Parks Board?
Back to Parks Board, and then Parks Board.
and then
to
we would make a
City Council.
recommendation
Uh-huh.
back to city council to pursue.
I think we'd work quite a bit too with our finance people at the city. Obviously, they're going to have a good feel for a lot of this stuff too. Because if they're not in favor of it, it's not going to, we're spinning our wheels, but it's something that we could all explore together.
Well, I think you need the input of the A&P as well on this to be able to say, yes, if that was, facility X was increased from 4X to, to 8X field, or 8 fields, what would that impact be on their marketability of being able to bring in those additional events?
Is it possible to swing back around and pick up some A&P money to put into this?
Well, they
It's
gave.
kind of like building your own ball of wax in a sense, but.
They gave 3.5 million, money to help. That's what we're.
So it's already in their best interest
Yeah.
to max out earlier than that to increase their ROI on that $3.5 million.
Yeah, they had 3.5 out of the $10 million project. You know, it's all a matter of priorities. You know,
Okay. So are y'all
I
trying to form a
volunteer to be on the
subcommittee right
committee.
now?
I don't know if Wade, if you want to be involved in that as well.
Sure.
I would too.
All right. So we're going to nominate some people to be on a subcommittee. How many people do we want?
as many that wants to be on there.
We're all going to learn a lot.
And I would like for a chair to be appointed if possible.
A chair? Okay.
Chair for the
So, well, let's just, if you want to be nominated, raise your hand. So we got 3 members. That seems like enough for a subcommittee. So I'll nominate and David and Wade to be on a subcommittee.
I second.
Second that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And then
Let's see what we can
who
come
wants
up
to be
with.
the chairman? of the
Do we need to
subcommittee?
do that at this point in time, or?
Can y'all elect your own chair when y'all
That's
meet
what I
for
was
the
thinking.
first time?
There's 3 of us, so
Yeah.
there's going to be a majority vote.
Not if you each nominate yourself.
I guess we could cross, no, yeah, I guess
Y'all
you're
want
right.
to talk about that and then, do we need a chairman to be appointed right now?
No,
Or,
no, just at some point.
okay, all right.
Okay.
Y'all can come back to us when
Perfect.
you're ready to do that. Okay,
We have to see who misses the first meeting.
that's right. And that's who's the chairman of the subcommittee. Okay, all right, so I think we're moving on. Sound good? All right. We've got to talk about our orientation. I guess what has been recommended by staff, if I'm reading this correctly, we are all to bring our calendars on February 1st so that we can set a date for the orientation. And for those of you that have not been to an orientation yet, what do we need, 4 hours?
No, hour and a half.
2?
We got it down to
Hour and a half to 2.
What did we do that was 4 hours one day? We
The
did.
initiation afterwards. Did y'all tell JL about that?
We'll tell him what kind of beer we have. I'll take care of that part.
No, we haven't had a 4-hour.
Those were
We had
paid.
it in
We
the
did
middle of
something.
the
We
day.
did
We
one
had
at
it
the
We had them on
library.
Saturdays and took half the day. It's
We
horrible.
had it in the middle of the day at the library.
Yeah.
It was a long one.
We did one at the library that I think was
Couple hours.
really long. So we're gonna keep this one to 2 hours or
We
less.
will have the staff presentation for an hour and a half. However, it depends on how many
How long?
questions or where you all might want to lead it. Okay?
So let's just plan on
2 hours.
2 hours. And do y'all want to do this in conjunction with a meeting, or would you like to have a special day for the orientation?
You know, the only one thing that I'm thinking of right now, the February 1st meeting could be the Kessler Mountain Master Plan. Don't know at this moment. So that meeting could take a little bit of time with that. And
So we don't want to do it on February 1st.
No, I'm not saying we don't,
Yeah.
but it could prolong it.
Well, we can, I
Or
guess,
we could meet, I don't know if we can meet beforehand. You don't
well,
have
is there a deadline this has to be done?
No. Well, we need to have it as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
JL, and then talk about our plans, 2016 plans, so you all know what's
Okay.
going on. And
So we can either decide a date now on when we're going to do it, or we can procrastinate and decide a date on February 1st of when we're going to do it, or we can decide now to do it at any other date, like maybe at the March meeting,
You know, we have had,
before the March
I
meeting.
think last time we had our Parks Board meeting, no, we had our orientation, and then at 5:30, we stopped. And we had our Parks Board meeting, because we need to have our meeting at 5:30, you know, the Parks Board that's open at 5:30.
That's right.
And then we ended up with our, the rest of the orientation meeting after that.
If we don't have Kessler on our February, I'd propose that we have our orientation starting at 4:30? Is that realistic?
We have to,
Everybody's,
I'm good with 4:30. Do we have to start at 5:30?
for Parks Board?
Yeah.
As long as we let them know ahead of time that, you know.
We can adjust the recording. All
We'd
that.
have to know well ahead to
Yeah, we have
advertise
to
the public meeting.
It's a public
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
What we'd end up doing is meet for an hour, then do Parks Board, and then when we adjourn Parks Board, we
We can
finish with
finish.
orientation
Okay.
for a half hour, or however long it takes.
And that worked out, I think, okay. I thought it did. If that's your desire.
That's fine with me. That works good for me.
If Mount Kessler is not part of the February.
Okay. So,
Otherwise, we just bump it to March.
and I don't know I don't think we have to vote on that. We just kind of need to mutually agree upon that.
I agree with Chuck. I think that's
I'm fine
that's a
with it.
good
Everybody else good?
plan of action.
Wade?
Yeah, so.
It's good for me.
So we'll come at 4:30 on February 1st to do orientation.
And orientation is an open public meeting too.
It is
It's
too?
not it's
Okay.
not a monthly meeting.
Okay. And next item is other business. Is there any other business? Announcements. January 9th, Frozen Toes 15K Trail Run. Who's responsible for that? Alan?
I got it. Yeah, we've
Frozen
got
toes for sure.
65 registered right now. We're starting finishing at the trailhead. Most of the trail system is in use. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun event. We're going to be serving soup and giving awards out afterwards, starting at 11:15. So if anybody wants to come out and just partake in the after party, should begin probably around 10:30 or so with some of the first finishers, and we'll be there till probably close to noon.
All right. January 12th, Winter Co-Rec Indoor Volleyball begins. January 17th, registration for Spring Youth Soccer closes. January 18th, registration for Girls Youth Softball begins. Any other announcements that I've missed? Anyone else have anything? If not, we'll be adjourned. All right.